All right, we're back again with our second edition of Who Knows What the Hell We're Doing right now.
Two coaches and the Grizz.
Two coaches in the Grizz. I think we're going to start off, gentlemen, with the bombshells.
I like more two coaches, one Grizz.
Two coaches, one
Grizz.
I love that play on
good.
words that we'll discuss later on. I think we're going to start off with the bombshell that we had drop on us in the NFL during this week. The Gruden resignation. Okay, because of these emails from a decade ago, which I know that there's some strong opinions here on this podcast. Please, I know you're roaring to go here, Mr. Grizz, so get after it.
No, I just have one thing to say. The happiest man in America is Mr. Gruden. No, sorry, not Mr. Gruden. Fucking Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is definitely the happiest guy in America right now. That guy, everything is off of him. Everything's off. He doesn't have to worry about it now. His two-finger Willie is off the charts.
The two-finger Jack is off the schneid, sir.
No more pistol. No more Pistol Pete there.
No more pistol fingers.
But no, but I mean, again, and that's one of the things that's kind of weird about this situation is that it happened 10 years ago. You know, he did say some off-the-cuff things that were definitely derogatory or negative.
But was it all 10 years ago, or were other things popping up more recently?
So let me let me talk on that. The first email that was reported was from 11 years ago, but the string of emails that was leaked from God knows where, the last email or the last group of emails was from 2018, from my understanding. So that's pretty recent in this whole history. I guess they showed a whole...
He was already coaching at that time, right?
Correct. I think that was his first season, if I'm not mistaken.
But the thing is, I think that the most derogatory phase of emails are the older ones, because he was still on ESPN, and he was communicating with Snyder, because again, these
Bruce
are all...
Allen, the director of football operations, I believe, at that time.
Oh, and it was also with
Schneider.
It was the Washington Football Organization, the Redskins. Okay, he was going with them, and he was emailing with them back and forth. And again, the words and the terms that he used, it's when he's talking about Goodell, I don't think he's being derogatory towards the gay community. He uses a bad word or a word that we can't use anymore. But again, as a contemporary of mine, I would understand how that word comes off, because that's something that we grew up saying. It's incorrect. It's not right. I'm not condoning it. But in the same token, he's not saying it to be derogatory of the gay community. He just felt that Goodell was not being the commissioner that he needed to be.
Yeah, not being an impartial commissioner. If that's it. Now, I do want to say here that there is kind of a nice separation of generations here. I know, Coach, you're obviously the oldest one of us, so you come from a more old school, traditional, time. Mario, you're the Grizz. You're a little bit older. You're kind of like in that middle, and then I'm, the younger one. But I was still coached by old school heads, So that
type
language,
of talk would not bother me.
Right, that language is what we're used to, and I know our producer here dealt with the same situation because we're in the same generation. So,
right. and again, and that's not to say that it's correct, and that it should have been used, and he should have put it in writing, okay? But again, the same token to say, okay, look, you're fired, you're done. It's over with, It's
all these emails were directed to the Redskins during this time.
They were collected, and they were part of the 650,000 plus emails that were being investigated over due
because
to
of the Washington
culture,
correct,
and the Washington football.
But they were all 7 years worth were towards the Redskins, where his brother was employed for 5 years.
With
somebody who was employed by the Redskins.
And again, listen, and even the situation where
it just doesn't smell right to me.
No, listen,
it just doesn't.
Again, when you break them down and you take a look at the situation with the kid from Missouri that was getting drafted, his situation it wasn't that it was against the guy being a homosexual. It was he felt that it wasn't Goodell's place to push Fisher to draft him because he is a homosexual. He should be getting drafted based on his
merits.
Yes, on his playing ability.
And to that point, I mean, one of the starting defensive linemen for the Raiders right now, he's the first active player to come out as gay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Carl Nassib's a baller. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares. I can guarantee you, as someone who spent the better part, 2/3 of his life in a football locker room, I can guarantee nobody's going to care what you're doing on your own time and who you love or whatever. As long as you can play.
Can you ball?
Yeah, as long as you play ball, right, bro, nobody else cares.
And again, I think that was part of his anger towards Goodell. I mean, again, everything, if you look at it, most of it is aimed directly at the commissioner.
Oh, he was hot, for sure.
He wanted Goodell's head on a platter. You know?
And that was the point that I had made to you guys in private conversation is, this is, regardless of who it is, you put it in writing, it's for life. Like,
correct.
It's not
Yes.
it's not going away. Just like I remember when I was a college.
Emails are worse than tweeting. I remember, because you can find a tweet online, but an email,
you're
stuck.
And that's the thing, because you know that's supposed to be in confidence, so you're gonna share your inhibitions there. And I remember as an athlete, a college athlete, they had to sign those social media waivers when social media was just like coming into his own. Because I started playing in college in 2007, and they would even tell us, that's like, even if you delete it, it's not deleted. That's for life. Somebody can pull that up.
Now, with that being said, is Gruden a sacrificial lamb in this situation?
And that's my point.
Are they protecting the Washington Redskin organization and the management because he's an owner and the guys that were there? And
so that's where my head is at. Like, okay, cool. We're going to hold him accountable for the words that he said within the last decade, whatever the case may be. What about those other 650,000 emails?
Why was this investigation started? It wasn't started because of emails. It was started because of a work culture that
had nothing to do with him.
Correct.
Number one,
he was never there.
He was never there. He was never part of the Washington football organization. That's one. And two, where are the other 600? Because I can guarantee, law of averages, that is not the only. Those are not the only derogatory emails that surfaced from that investigation, which goes into that point. Like, now you really see that the owners run this league, because let's be real, if the whole investigation is based off of Snyder's perpetuation of a bad work culture, where are his emails? What bad things did he say? What derogatory things was he saying about?
The owners, of course, own this league. They employ Roger Goodell.
And my point is the owners didn't want this to come out. It wouldn't have come out.
Well, no, I don't think it's the owners. I want to say it's Goodell in the NFL. Because notice.
So you're saying that Goodell and others got poopy.
Notice that the NFL took their hands off. They went to the Raiders and said, "Here, guys, here's this information. Do with it what you think." And then they leaked it because it was leaked.
Correct.
This was leaked.
Right.
But at this point, with all these emails come out, there's no way you can keep him as a coach. It's just bad optics. The Raiders know it.
There was no out.
You're absolutely correct. But again, the NFL could have said, "Hey, we're going to step in as the NFL." But they didn't. They leaked it, and they said to the Raiders, "Hey, Mark Davis, you and your nice haircut, figure it out. What are you going to do?"
I want to meet that guy's barber. By the way.
I don't. I want to stay away from. I don't have any hair. I don't want.
If he pays for that, like, dude, you pay me whatever you're paying that guy, and I'll do that for you.
That man is worth billions of dollars,
yeah,
and he cannot get a simple haircut.
No, he can't.
Or a better toupee, whatever it is.
Just figure it out, my dude.
It's bad.
I mean, listen,
but you know what? Just real
ahead.
quick, off a little bit of the topic, but in the same realm, in entertainment, James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy, all that, 10 years ago had offensive tweets fired from Disney for homophobic, basically, weird stuff, because he used to be in that trauma stuff, that just weird stuff. Fired, thought, oh, this guy's career is over, gets hired to do a DC movie, and now, hey, come on back to Disney. It's all good.
It's all good.
Everything's good. Why? Because you're making money.
It's water under the bridge, baby.
And
it's water
not
under
for
the bridge.
nothing, I think a few years from now, Gruden either will be working again on some kind of football telecast, or orange and green might look good on him.
We'll see. Orange and green definitely.
I wouldn't mind an email or two this way.
Listen, I think that our group, where we come from, I think we appreciate the different perspectives, and obviously this has, this is based off of the different political and society views that we have right now. But I mean, I like if we're judging people off of what they've done 10 years ago, like that's terrible. It really is. It really is bad. And let's be honest, I don't think that this is the last time that we're going to be discussing this. I think that as this situation progresses and it grows,
we live in a country where you're supposed to change and grow from your mistakes. And if you're going to bring up something about someone from 10 years ago, when you clearly see maybe that the person has grown from those said mistakes, and going back to this James Gunn, Disney, when they hired him in 2014, knew about all those tweets.
Right.
They knew about all that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
if you don't know that Gruden probably talks like that, forget an email. I'm sure you've heard that guy.
And anybody involved in football knows that football coaches speak that way. Like, I mean, it is what it is. And, as coaches, the two coaches on the panel here, we put ourselves in those positions sometimes every now and then. But
again, his biggest, we go back to his biggest thing was putting it in writing.
Correct.
And sending it as an email.
Correct.
It came back to haunt him.
Correct. And,
and we talk about that all the time. Don't put stuff in writing because it's going to come back to you.
Right, for sure. And it's not going to be the last time that we're going to be talking about this, because I think that this situation is going to expand more. I think that once the heat dies down from this, he's going to get hired somewhere else. It may not be the NFL again, because they got to stand behind what they did.
Right.
But some college, somewhere, or another network, eventually he's going to get hired again.
Now, yesterday's shootout between the Browns and the Chargers, is that a preview of things to come?
Oof. Wow, I like that game a lot. Mike Williams, I like you a lot. Again, back to my good side there. But yeah, that game was amazing.
Little fantasy football. Listen, trust me,
everything's fantasy football.
Okay, what a phenomenal game that was. Like, let's start there. Yeah. However, you do see, for those of us that understand football, have been in the game, you do see a lot of the hesitation with Baker Mayfield there. Like, there was several third down situations where Baker Mayfield, if that's your guy, if that's your fantasy, or not fantasy, but if that's your franchise quarterback, you put the ball in that dude's hands to help to get those first downs and help you win the game.
He's also dealing with a torn labrum.
Yeah.
And the fact that the header
hurt shoulder.
Yes, right, but the fact that the header's running the ball there, it's his non-throwing shoulder, by the way.
You're right, but still, even putting the ball in his hands, he gets hit. He goes down. So that's now your second string guys.
They got two.
They got studs in the backfield.
I mean,
exactly.
You don't really need to put it.
But
in
third
his
and
hands.
9, I believe one of them was.
I know.
Fact check me, whoever's out there listening. But
when you take a look at Stefanski as an OC and a play caller, don't forget now he was very ingrained in Minnesota. He's a running game guy.
Is he a disciple of the Schottenheimer? I almost said Schanauer, but the Schottenheimer.
I'm not sure. I don't think he is, but again, he is a very run heavy guy, and he's going to run the ball. He's going to be unorthodox. He's going to run boot on first down. He's not going to give you what you expect, on your 3rd and 9. And like the Grizz said, he's got two running backs that can, they can turn it around. You can get 12.
Let's forget the Browns for a second. How bad do you feel every time you see that quarterback from the Chargers just sling it? I know he could have been.
That guy is the real deal Holyfield. But yeah, you guys, he could have been a Dolphin. I know Coachy is a Raiders fan first and foremost.
No, but I was one of the first guys, or one of the few guys that said we should take the kid from Oregon. First of all, he hasn't been injured. Number 2, he's big, strong kid, and he showed that he's got some wheels.
And I specifically remember...
I'm still feeling Tua. I still want him to do good. It's just that he's just never going to be better than Herbert, I think. No matter 100%. How good Tua, I think.
But I do remember Coachy's comments at one of our WKPT poker nights when he said that pre-draft. He did say that pre-draft. He did say that. However...
That's why he's on this podcast, because the man knows everything.
I don't know everything.
I wish I did. I
wish I did.
He's a very knowledgeable individual that you can lean on for many a topic.
The man hit Akron, for God's sakes, guys.
Oh yeah, look at that fist pump. Whoa,
What a
whoa, whoa. When we get that
The
video up,
outright win. The outright win, baby. The outright win against the Bowling Green Falcons.
the ugly of
The
uglies.
quote of the week last week that they hadn't been a double digit since the 2-finger pumper was the coach, man.
The 2 fingers.
That's amazing
the-
to go.
the finger
That's
pistols.
a fact I'm going to live by, bro. And then, boom. Sure enough, Akron says this is why they're not a two touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Wowzers.
back to knowing everything. Yes, man. Having Herbert, this man knew it. Sad we're not having you paid on that Dolphins.
I mean, somebody said it, and I know that the comparison has been made. And granted, I started watching football when Dan Marino was not in his prime anymore. Still the boss. That guy might be the second coming of Dan Marino in terms of skill set. Like he reads what reads. I'm throwing to the open guy.
He's got it, and he's got the mobility, which in today's NFL,
You need it.
You
premium.
have to have a guy that can move. He doesn't have to be a runner. You get me? He doesn't have to be but he can move. You can roll him out. You can do different things with him. And when stuff breaks down, he can run for 9, slide, and you got another first down, and let's go. You know, he's solid. He is solid.
I do think another one in that general mold is Josh Allen. Wow. That guy went, for my younger generation, he did go Super Saiyan on Sunday Night Football. So that was insane. I'm sure the commish of our fantasy football league would appreciate that. Because he did have Josh Allen. But Lamar came back.
I'm
and went
just
Super
happy
Saiyan
that
himself.
both those quarterbacks that night ran for 50 yards because I had a nice prop on that.
Little prop bet. Little
Grizz
prop
with
bet
the
by
prop.
the Grizz.
Grizz with
the
the prop
Grizz is the
bet.
king of the props.
Already sticking the
The
prop bets
Grizz
in
loves
there.
the little parlays and props, man. Unfortunately, I'm just all
But
about
again, and that takes us to the next thing. Now, are we talking now that the Chargers are there, the Bills, KC is that what's going to rise to the cream? Is that the cream of the AFC?
Go ahead, Grizz.
I think the Bills are definitely locked into an AFC Championship game. That I don't think we can. I think they should have won that first game if it wasn't for a block punt. And the Chargers are really looking serious. And the Chiefs, if they don't start pulling it together, you're gonna have to play 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl.
I do think, okay, so if we're talking AFC, first of all, I'm a big believer of teams having to take their lumps, I do think that the Bills were ahead of schedule last year. Now, with the additions that they made and their two-headed monster in the backfield, plus Josh Allen, and then now Josh Allen has Dawson Knox at tight end, which I think puts them over the top. I think they are the team to beat in the AFC. But I do think that teams do have to go through take their lumps and do it the hard way, Okay, make it to the playoffs. Maybe go to the wild card. If you win or lose that, get to the divisional round, maybe you win or lose. They have to go through that process to get battle-hardened.
It's learning how to win.
Right, learning how to win, correct.
At that level. But with that being said, and going back to KC a little bit, don't forget that the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs has been revamped. Those guys, they have
true.
4 new starters.
Eric Fisher's with the Colts now.
They have 4 new starters, so those guys need to gel. That's one position in football, at whatever level, as you and I well know.
Correct.
Have to gel and get to know each other to work together. Now, once they get another 2 or 3 more games, I think you're going to start seeing that O-line playing better. And it's not like they're not putting up
coming downhill.
It's not like they're not putting up points. They're putting up points. You get me?
The defense needs to step up.
Correct.
Defense
That's
needs to
the
step up.
next side of it.
Correct.
The defense has to play up to the potential of the players that they have because they've got some good guys on there.
They do.
They've got some solid players. And
Shout
now-
out to Greg Rousseau.
Yeah. So again, they've got good rushers. They got a bunch, But again, the defense has to hold up their own. And now once the offensive line gets going, I think that again, to me, it's a 3-team race.
I agree with that.
And then Cleveland will be a dark horse on the side, just because I think
Cleveland's tough.
they'll
The
be
two
able to
losses
win
they
it more.
have
Right.
are close losses against the Chiefs and the Chargers.
And again, let me tell you something. In Baltimore, I know that the Ravens have won 3 games that they should have lost.
And you're gonna want some running attack.
But I
in
do
that playoff time.
again.
Correct.
But I think that battle hardens them. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can dig out those tough wins, that builds confidence, man, for later on in the season, especially once the season wears on and starts getting cold, and you got to rely on Lamar's legs a little bit more. Like those 3 teams, to me, man, they have that. I think this year the odd man out on this situation, or the odd team out, I should say, is Kansas City, because I think I really do believe that it's going to be the Bills and the Ravens at the end of it.
You can't come from behind in every game. You're going to run out of magic.
You're going to
Coach,
find out right
100%.
now. Ravens and Chargers this week.
I think the Chargers are still too young. That's where I'm going with this one.
I mean, Mahomes.
They're gonna
Mahomes
they're
got
gonna
to
make
the
the
AFC
playoffs.
Championship his first year. Wins the Super Bowl his second year. Doesn't matter anymore, man. That team is stacked with talents.
You talking about
The Chargers.
The Chargers.
Yeah, and
They
the
are
Ravens are
with talent.
stacked too. But
And you know what?
If
we are
I'm
on the
gonna
East
go
Coast,
Chargers
and it may be
this
the
week,
East Coast
so
bias. I'm not discrediting that.
No, I mean, again, like I said, I think that those three teams are gonna battle it out. And I think Baltimore could show up, but again, I see Baltimore, and we talked a little bit about that on the side. As good as Lamar is playing, man, he's not playing well early in the game.
He's not.
You get me? And those are the things that when it's early in the
back to
game,
bite you in the playoffs,
exactly,
you
exactly.
can't be down 3 touchdowns. I mean,
And come back
unless
every
you're
week.
Mahomes. Mahomes
Right.
did it, but even then, you don't want to get in
Well,
that position.
Mahomes did it the entire playoffs the year that they won the Super Bowl.
But Mahomes is a different animal.
Granted, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and yes, you're right. Like we're football guys. Yes, you're 100% correct. But they've shown the ability to have to do it when and if they need to.
Like, bottom line, it's going to be who's ever like on a 5-game winning streak going into the playoffs.
Who's the hottest team at the end?
Who's
It's
healthy?
always like that.
Who's
Now,
healthy?
again,
It's always like that.
It's
Health
who's
and
healthy.
who's
Good-
hot.
good
What
point.
I'm gonna
Good
tell
point.
you
Good point.
is that it's gonna be very dependent on whether the Ravens can have. They're on their 5th string running back. They have Devontae Freeman, but he was
How
good
long is Lamar
3
going to
years
last
ago.
if he has to run the ball? I mean, come on.
And again, all it takes is one shot to the QB1.
Speaking of one shot and QB, Dak and the Cowboys.
That's another one.
Sneaky good right now, and I hate to say that.
They're looking
Sneaky
solid.
good.
They're looking at the two-headed monster in the backfield.
I'm gonna go get a drink.
Well,
on
they
this
play
one.
at New England.
I'm taking a
so-
break on
You
this
know?
one as the
No.
resident Giants fan here.
Well, but listen, you got to give the devil his due sometimes,
I will give him
and those
his
guys
props,
are
but nary shall I ever fall.
they're playing well. The defense is starting the ball under Dan Quinn.
I mean,
You know,
forget
so-
this poor guy. The
Yeah,
Giants, his whole team was hurt last week.
Everybody went down. And then you also have the Cardinals are up and coming in that West Division.
I really like the Cardinals, man. I really like the Cardinals.
They're-
They're probably going to beat the Cleveland this week, actually.
Their defense is playing well.
If they're going to lose, they will lose this game because at Cleveland it's a tough game, and they have been shaky a few games, but they got talent, man, and their defense is solid.
Well, it's going to be a great test for that Cleveland defense to see if they can.
We talking about the Cowboys defense?
Well, no,
No,
no.
we're talking
Yes,
about
yes, we
Arizona
are.
now.
Oh, yes,
the
we are.
Cowboys' defense is good.
I'm going to tell you right now,
They're
Dan
a good
Quinn.
pass
Dan
rushing
Quinn.
defense,
No.
coach.
Listen, Dan Quinn's doing a nice job. He's implemented that stuff that he did in Seattle, playing little cover 3, that little cover 3 defense that he used to play, and they're coming downhill, and they're picking the ball off. They're being
I will tell you again from the little bit that I've seen. I don't follow the Cowboys because I'm a Giants fan, but I do like the little hybrid situation that they have of the 4-3/3-4 when they put their first round pick. I'm blanking on his name right now. Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Wow,
No, yeah.
that guy comes downhill, man. When they put him on the edge to rush. Now I think he's still more of a middle linebacker, but he's got that pass rushing ability.
And those are the things. Like I said, I think they're looking good. And again, like I said, we went into this because of health. You get me? We mentioned
Right.
And Dak is playing at a supreme level right now. He's doing really well throwing the ball.
Guy's the real deal, and I pull for him. Aside from
Right.
the fact
The
that
O
he's a
line,
Cowboy.
so they look good over on that side. I don't think you can ever discount Green Bay. So that's the NFL in a nutshell.
By the way, I would like to take this moment to throw a shout out to our producer of the show, Anthony Carabata, Mr. AC. Call him out.
AC in the house.
The original number 7 of the Ferguson Falcons. We're gonna go. But he'll have more
The guy's a
opportunities.
trivia question, bro. First, right? First quarterback ever.
First varsity
I'm not
quarterback
the
of the
first of
Ferguson
anything.
Falcons. But yeah, he'll have his mic here pretty soon. He's producing the show, so shout out to him for lending his expertise. It's much appreciated. So,
And now let's talk a little chaos.
ugh.
Little chaos in
I love
college,
this
college
talk.
football.
I love this
Little
talk.
chaos. Little chaos.
The mighty SEC, they're so powerful. Nobody can beat Bama and
this
Georgia.
guy.
Take it away,
Everybody's
Grizz.
always talking this smack, bro. Talking the smack about that mighty SEC. Texas A&M, mierda, and they come and beat. Because they're not real SEC. They're not real SEC. They were a fucking Big 12, what was it, the Southwestern Conference back in the day. They're a Texas team. See what happens when you cross the Mississippi? Bad things happen when you cross the Mississippi. SEC. Oh, good talk.
It was a great game. It was a great game, and again, I mean, Texas A&M came up, played hard. That quarterback, the quarterback from A&M was super impressive. The second string kid came in and overcame an injury, and they finished strong. With that being said, we take a look now. How many teams are going to get in? Who's there? We're going to get 2 from the SEC. Is Bama going to stick around? Is it going to be Georgia and Alabama?
Bama loses another one. They ain't going to make it.
So here's my question. And this is a question that was posed on another show that I listen to on a daily basis. Did Alabama fall too far based off of their loss? Because I think they're currently ranked. I'm looking at it. They're currently ranked 5th.
5th, but that's just the AP rankings. Wait till the college football rankings come out, and they're going to get all the love because they're Alabama.
Listen,
but they're going to lose one more.
Don't forget, if unlike what the Grizz is saying, if they're able to run the table, they're going to be in the SEC championship game. Now they lose that one, then they're done.
If they run the whole table and they beat Georgia,
they need to beat Georgia.
But let's say,
Georgia,
but now let me say this.
Very
no,
close.
correct. No, they can lose 2 and they're done. But now let's say this though. Let's say that we have a 1-loss Alabama. We have a 1-loss Georgia. Is Georgia going anywhere? Is Georgia going to drop out? Is they not going to be in the playoffs?
Let's say Georgia loses to Florida, but they win the rest of the games. They don't make the
then the
SEC championship. They're out there just floating. They probably make it because they're 1-loss SEC powerhouse. That's how it goes. Bama did it a couple years ago,
correct,
and they won the whole thing. So they're going to get that cred.
But now, then
I don't think Georgia loses.
Then you throw in the Big Ten. Now you've got a situation with the Big Ten where Iowa could come out. You got Michigan. That if Michigan beats Ohio State, now you've got 2 undefeated teams going to the Big Ten championship.
Oof.
Exactly. Okay.
Well, you got 2. The one who wins is in. The one that loses is out.
So a 1-loss Iowa is out. A 1-loss Michigan is out. That's not gonna.
Yeah.
A
1-loss SEC will unfortunately beat out a one-loss.
So then Cincinnati gets in instead of them.
Listen, for someone who spent 5 years in Ohio, I would love nothing more than for the Michigan to just stick it up Ohio State's rectum. I'm just listen, I hated them from the time I was 13 years old when I saw that atrocity that happened against the University of Miami in the national championship. And then I didn't know how deep that hatred could get until I ended up playing college football in Ohio. And it was the worst.
And they're still alive. They could beat Michigan. They can go to the Big Ten championship.
Well, and you know why they're alive? Because Cristobal
they're the
dropped
only
the ball.
one team, Big Ten team that gets in by winning it because they're once again their brand. This is years of winning.
It's a brand. It's a brand situation.
We live in a brand time.
But I still think Iowa can make an argument as a 1-loss team. I really think
if they win out,
they could be a 1-loss team, and their only loss is to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. That could be their only loss.
You're talking about Iowa right now?
Iowa could run the table.
But now what if we have Oklahoma undefeated? That's a spot taken for
correct.
So
And that's
you'd have a Georgia.
And going back to what you said last week, Oklahoma had to pull it out, which again was pick number 2 out of the 3 from last week that I said that they were going to go ahead and cover.
Good for you.
They came back from the dead, okay? But again, and they might have really found their quarterback now because that kid is a stud. The Williams, that Cade Williams, he is. Let me tell you something. He sat Rattler down. The Heisman Trophy guy.
There goes the Heisman Trophy for Rattler.
They sat him down, and
you texted me, and you did text me and say all of that's going down the drain in the second half here. You texted me that for sure, 100%.
Listen, I'm telling you, and that kid.
I have
to give credit where credit's due.
And then that kid came in there in the biggest stage, the Red River rivalry. I mean, right there, and down 21 points.
The whole world's watching that one.
He was down 21 points.
First quarter,
28-7. And they battled back, and he brought them back to win the game. So again,
we had one of those in the past couple of weeks, and then we laid down and died.
Now, with that being said, OU can only get in if they're undefeated.
Yes.
And then sadly, the
Facts.
They've had a lot of sloppy games that they've won.
Correct.
So, yeah, if they end up.
And that's the thing.
and the Pac-12
But that's what gets you cocky, coach. Because with Rattler's a cocky individual. He's a front runner, right? Oh, I'm winning these sloppy games. I can get away with it. This is not a game that he was able to get away with that. I mean, is that facts or not?
The Pac-12 is a one conference that never gets a shot.
They don't, because they end up having a really good win against an Ohio State, and then they lose against a Stanford, which, it's a tough team, but you can't lose that game.
The one team that I have that I've had them on and I've looked at, they're one of my. I think Arizona State has a serious shot if they can pull. Yes, let me tell you something. Have you watched them?
What?
Have you watched them? Have you looked at Herm Edwards' team?
I have not.
Take some time and get some Pac-12 at midnight. Get a little Pac-12 at night.
This is why they play the games.
Okay.
I would like to state that I have a toddler at home.
That's
so
okay. He
it's
keeps you up at night.
little-
You got nothing better to do.
Don't scream at me.
You can watch TV while
The Sun Devils.
while you're breastfeeding.
I didn't
not
think I was
breastfeeding.
going
but
to talk
you
about
can.
Sun Devils.
I do
even
not,
though we're
I
in
do
that
not,
kind of society now,
I
where
do, I do not
where
have
men are trying to
active
breastfeed
mammary
children.
gland,
Hey,
sir, and I do not identify on in that.
Moving right along. But yes, I really think that the Arizona State, and they have a big game this weekend against Utah. Really big game at Utah.
I know.
That's a team that I think could be sneaky
I
good.
really like the fact that you're talking Sun Devil. I've always liked for some reason, the color scheme and the Sun Devil, but they just never show up. Only the Plumber team showed up. That's the only team I can remember that's ever been a solid Arizona State team. Wow, that's a pull. And you know what's gonna happen? The Gills spoke it into existence.
Is that a foreshadowing into the Gilly Greek deep dive?
We'll
Let
see.
me tell you, bro. If we get an Arizona State team get into the playoffs, that's it.
This should go viral.
We'll see what happens.
Don't worry. If they lose, it's just
yeah.
Arizona State. It's
Correct,
not that big
yeah,
of a deal.
yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're deep diving like always.
Now, okay, so I think to close up this argument here, I think what wraps it up really nicely is Cincinnati. Since he goes undefeated, they're in, right? It's got to be.
Still a maybe.
It's a maybe.
Yes.
I know.
And it
it's tough.
sucks.
It's
They
tough.
try.
Yo,
They,
shot-
They
but
played good
they
teams.
played Notre Dame.
Yep.
Indiana, which was really
We're
good. and
supposed to be really good. Correct.
You can only schedule the people in front of you.
Right.
I mean, shout out to
I
Luke
like him.
Fickle.
No, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, man.
He's doing a phenomenal job, and that kid, that quarterback, is doing.
And if he's got a year or two more of success, watch him start pulling dudes that Ohio State would normally get in that region. Like you know how that recruiting area works. There's 2 or 3 schools. It's Michigan, it's Ohio State, and Michigan State for the most part in that area. Minnesota started pulling some guys there recently, but Cincinnati might start being a player in terms of recruits in the Midwest, man.
Well, it's also going to help that they're probably, with all the realignment, they're probably going to be swallowed up into a power conference.
You think so?
Oh, for
because
sure.
What are they? They're in the AAC now?
AAC.
Yeah, if
AAC, right?
you want
AAC.
the best teams available that are not power teams, Cincinnati's at the top of the list.
And I'm going to tell
Where
you
do they get pulled into? That's the question.
that they're going to have a shootout with Houston. Houston
that
is going to
game's
give
gonna
them
be
a
good.
great game. That's going to be a phenomenal. That Houston defense is one of the most underrated defenses in the country.
Is that
Holgerson?
Going a little
Old
early,
West
Dana-
Virginia.
Dana
That's
Holgerson.
a little early in the
The
deep dive.
pistol shooter himself. That motherfucker shoots from the hip,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
I've been seeing a lot of games that Houston's been underdogs this
Yeah,
year, and I'm
yes.
like, I bet them, and they blow out the teams that they're underdogs.
Yes, they do.
Sneaky
They're
team.
one of
I
my
think I'll
favorite.
take them this week if you're
So,
saying that.
like I said, I mean they're a solid play, and their defense. To me, honestly, their defense is what's really playing really, really well. Their offense is feeding off of that defense. So that game, like I said, that's the one major hurdle they got. USC is down to their second string quarterback. UCF is down to their second string.
UCF,
UCF
right.
is down to their second string quarterback. So I don't think this game this week is going to mean much, But again, as we go forward, SMU and Houston are the only two that have a shot to do anything. And SMU's defense doesn't stand up to par. You get me? So I think Houston's going to be the one that'll give them a run for their money. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
They're minus 20. Cincinnati's minus 20 this weekend, just to let you know. They're minus 20. I don't think Houston's playing. Otherwise, I would have taken them.
I mean, either way, that's a big cover.
Yeah, I took them. Houston last week was beautiful.
All right, we're gonna jump right into the MLB playoffs right now. Session 3, whatever this is. I know we'll edit this. Session 2, session 3. Surprising knockout by the Red Sox, taking out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, the Rays.
The Rays.
The Rays.
Sorry, we're
The
football
Rays.
guys. Tampa Bay Rays. 5-game series, right? Correct.
Well, yeah, best of 5.
Best of 5.
They won 3 and they knocked out in walk-off fashion.
As a Yankee fan, it hurts.
Walk-off fashion. So we got one team in. We got the Stros are in. So it's the Stros and the Red Sox.
I never thought that I would say this, but actually, now that I think about it, these are both the teams that were implicated in the whole the sign
the
stealing
Astros
scandal.
are beating their trash cans going all the way to the championship series,
But
baby.
the Red Sox were part of that situation also.
They were part due. And Joey's back in there. So it's like,
Listen, whichever team goes in, I hope they lose. My personal friend Doc Roberts, who the manager of the LA Dodgers. I hope you make it, and I hope you fucking crush whoever
let me
comes
tell you
in.
something. He's on the verge. He's down 2-1 to the Giants. That's a hell of a
No,
series.
the Giants are serious.
What a-
Shout out to my stepdad, Jeff Silva. He's a huge
Listen,
Giants fan.
Can you imagine? You know what it is to win 105 games and still be second place in your division? The Giants won 107 games this year.
I think they should reseed these teams because I'm not a fan of these two teams playing right now.
Milwaukee and Atlanta?
No.
Or you mean the
and
Giants?
Dodgers, based on their
It's-
records,
it's-
that could be a World Series. So it should be the NLCS.
Yeah, but
Right. I don't know why they ended up with both Tampa
Red
Bay.
Sox and Rays also because
Correct.
you have to play the wild card has to play the best record.
It's the lower seed versus the higher seed.
Correct. The wild card's the 4 seed playing
Correct.
the 1st seed,
Right.
and in both of these, it was both the division opponents.
Now,
but if it's division opponents, I think you should.
Unfortunately,
Agreed.
whoever it was going to be, the Yankees and the Red Sox were both the hottest teams in the AL going into the playoffs.
Right. But I still think, like the Grizz said, I mean, if we're talking divisional foes, it sucks that right now.
Would have been the same things had the Yankees won.
Right.
I don't want the Yankees
Correct.
to play the Rays either.
Correct, but I'm saying they were record-wise,
Right.
they were the lower seed.
Right.
But
Correct, but you have also. It's not the record. You have the Dodgers are the wild card, but they have the second best record in the major leagues.
I apologize. Okay, I see
I'm
what you're
just
saying.
talking
I
about-
apologize. Yeah.
And they also battled the Giants for the division.
Correct.
So that's a great. Each one wins, and they go to the championship game, and that's a hell of a series.
So you want to see kind of like what the NBA does.
Right, in the NFL does the same thing. The NFL tries to not play the wild card versus their division team the first weekend. You get me, or the second weekend, whatever it is.
No, because the division winners, for example, like let's look at the Cowboys and the Giants, right? Cowboys have the best record. Giants have the second best record. The Giants are still the wild card team.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that early on in the playoffs,
Oh, what you're saying is they try as hard as they can to try to not meet till the championship
right?
game.
They put
I
the
get what you're
division.
saying.
They put division teams in different matchups, so they don't
Correct.
play each other so quickly.
Right. Unfortunately, the way that it works out is you got the high seed versus the lower seed,
Right,
and
right.
what screws it up is the 1-game playoff situation.
Right.
That's what messes that up. That kills me. I can't handle that shit in baseball. Sorry.
But you have to
I
because
apologize to FCC for
You
cursing.
have to because there's already 162 games. How many more games are we going to have? You can't have a 3-game series.
Right.
Here's the thing. It used to be the wild card team went. There was no wild card game.
Right.
So the Yankees would not even be playing in that game. They should be happy just to have a chance.
They were tied. It would have been a 1-game playoff regardless.
Correct. So there would have
The
been a 1-game.
records were
It
tied.
would have been a 1-game playoff regardless.
For one
Right.
team.
One
And
game.
nobody-
For them only.
Right. It wouldn't have been a play
Because that has if you look
Same
at
thing.
if you look at baseball history, I did play baseball growing up. If you look at baseball history, there have been those 1-game playoffs before, because there were no playoffs before. It was you had the 162 games, and it was the race to the pennant straight to the
and
World
if someone
Series.
was tied, then they.
But
Right.
it doesn't matter. It was still 1 game, in or out,
Right.
right?
Right, correct.
It's
If
the
it was
same-
if it was
so
a tied at the end
it's
of the
the
season,
same thing.
that's where
It's the same thing.
not to
So
not
how
to
about
go,
this? How
not
about
to
if-
go too deep into a dive of baseball, but that's where Mickey Mantle broke the record because it was the 1-game playoff between the Yankees and I forgot who, and that's where he broke Babe Ruth's record, a single season home run record.
But it was not unfair that they only had one game. They're both tied. That was fair.
That was fair in that instance, correct?
This
Yes, yes.
It was unfair for the Dodgers, who were 15 games better than the Cardinals,
One
to try to get one game.
1,000%.
And they did it, and if they would have lost, they would have just had to eat it.
1,000%.
Again, 104, 105 victories, second team in the division. That's what a year.
Insane.
What a year.
And what they got beat out by 2 wins? 3 wins?
Yeah. San Francisco just had an amazing year.
I mean, San Francisco.
And now the Braves were playing the Brewers.
I'm gonna have to call my mother
It's
because my
5-4.
stepdad might lose it.
Yeah, they win this game. That's it.
Top
It's
of the
over.
ninth. If they shut them down here, it's all over.
And I
That
lose
man
my
has
parlay.
cried over a no hitter in May. I love you, pops. Jeff Silva, shout out.
Big San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, I was falling asleep on my son's first birthday. I mean, all my friends were there. That was fun times.
We had a good time there.
Yeah, I know everybody did. All right, so that's that for baseball. Let's jump right into the Gilly the Greek deep dive for the week. Let's get the traditional plays. Let's get the off kilter plays. Let's get the ugly plays.
All right, well, I mean, like I said before, we went 2-1 last week, and FIU let us down in the second half. Terrible.
The Mighty Panthers.
The Mighty Panthers, my goodness. Well, we've got a couple of games right off the top. I am taking Arizona State -1 this week against Utah.
There was foreshadowing there.
I think that they are the best team in the Pac-12. I think they're playing really well. Again, Utah's offense is very limited. They lost their quarterback, their running
Everybody.
back. So I just think
Shout out to Zach Moss.
I just think Arizona State's going to beat them, and they're going to be able to cover 1 point. I'm a little concerned because the line is going between 1 point and pick 'em, and I hate when that happens to me. But we'll navigate that and see how it goes from there. I'm also on Rutgers this weekend. I'm taking a money line.
Love Rutgers.
Get him, Grizz.
Love Rutgers. I just Shiano. I love that guy.
Yeah, just chop, baby, just chop.
I love that guy
You gotta
too.
chop. You gotta chop.
Always chop.
They've got a good game. They're on the road. They've only lost to 3 top 25 teams. So again, I think that they're going to come in this week. They're going to win. The line has moved to -2 from a pick'em. They play Northwestern, so that should be a good game, and then Rutgers should be able to win that game. We're going to move on now to our
Fun fact, did you know that Rutgers was given the choice to be an Ivy League status school before Princeton? Look it up.
Interesting. And they chose not to.
Bad choice.
Deuces.
It would have been a powerhouse as an Ivy League school. But they're a doormat. But I still like them. I like them because of Shiano.
No, I think in the next couple of weeks, again, his first stint there, he did have them competing and playing until he left.
They had epic seasons with that guy.
Yeah, he had some, and he had
Let's see if he could do it again.
had some good upsets. We're gonna take the Air Force Academy Falcons. We took them at +6. It's now at +4. The line has moved in our favor.
Forgive my ignorance. What's the opponent? Or who's the opponent?
The opponent is, give me 1 second as I scroll down here because I forgot who they were playing. They're playing Boise State.
Wowzers. Gilly the Greek.
On the blue field?
What happens is, and this is very easy. Boise State just comes off a hot victory off of BYU last week, okay? Which BYU turned the ball over 4 times, outgained Boise by over 100 yards, okay? So they lost the game, okay? Boise comes out. Everybody, Boise's the team. I think Air Force gives them a run for their money. And I think that, like I said, I took +6. It's down to +4.
I love that deep dive, by the way. Also,
that is deep.
That is the deepest of dives. That's 1. 2. Shout out to Air Force's Flexbone offense.
That's right, buddy.
Right, which our producer in residence here was a absolute pioneer at the high school level in running that offense.
We're also going to run. We're going to stay in the academies, and we're going to take Army. We're taking Army against Wisconsin. This is one of those that I know. Wisconsin's offense has been struggling.
Coachy, that's an ugly for real.
We're taking 14. We're going to take 14. I took them at 13. The line moved against me. It's up to 14 already. I think they keep it within 2 touchdowns. I think Army gets up for these games. They always play tough against the Power 5 teams. Wisconsin has a short week to get ready for them. It's going to be the Army offense is again option football.
Flexbone, baby.
Flexbone. They're gonna bring some option football, and their defense.
That tango
plays really
set.
well. Their defense plays really, really well. So we like them in this matchup. And our last underdog of the night is going to be Kent State. We're taking Kent State at +7. They're playing at Western Michigan. I think this is where Kent State starts putting up points and blowing people out.
Shout out to Mr. Gregory Kevin Shanauer. Can't read, can't ride, Kent State.
And the bonus pick will be I'm gonna throw one more. I'm gonna give us one more. I was gonna go leave it at 5, but I really like, and I took them at +6 already. I'm taking BYU this week at Baylor. Taking BYU fresh off the upset of getting beat, and they're playing at Baylor. Baylor just had a monster game against West Virginia, and again, it's one of those darling games where everybody thinks Baylor's gonna, and I think BYU comes back, plays tough, and covers the 6 points. Those are our 6 plays for this week.
This is the 6 plays for the week on the Greeks deep dive. Yo, that is amazing. That's amazing analysis. Grizz, you got anything to add here into this situation?
I just sit back and listen to this. I don't need to talk.
That's awesome stuff, man.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully everything goes well. Good luck with all your plays, and
definitely looking forward to seeing how this works out. Where are you at, by the way, in your overall week? Your overall analysis?
We're up over $600 again. Okay, last week we went 5-4 overall. Okay, so we had another winning week. Okay, we were winners on the podcast. So it wasn't a huge winning week.
So the
but we stayed on the
podcast
positive.
was a winner.
The podcast was a winner.
A win's a win, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's the way we look at it. We know it's a marathon. And in the closing moments, we're watching as the Braves advance to the NLCS.
Oh wow!
And they await now the winner of the Giants and the Dodgers.
Doc Roberts, pull it out, baby girl. I'll see you in January in Wyoming. Okay? Hey, fellas, love you guys. Coachy, the Grizz, and AC, you guys are awesome. Hopefully, second podcast and many more to go. Have a good one.